the world, you would have said, sir or ma, take the world as a way of appreciating, you know, and all of that. Talk to us from that window.
Oh, well, it is like you said, there's always that person that stands out, that went above and beyond. Their main scope of just coming to class, teaching you. I mean, we had several teachers then in school that would come into the class, impart knowledge, and then when they ring the bell for the next class to start, you're complaining. Please stay, because they want the next teacher to come in. But yes, today being World Teachers Appreciation Day, I think it is very important that that's one profession that every single person appreciates, because these days things are getting increasingly challenging. I'm not just talking financially or economically. I'm talking about the erosion of the value systems and also what they have to deal with in the classrooms as well. Now, also knowing that certain standards have changed, a lot of schools today, there are varying ways. There's a huge deviation from what we used to get as discipline that they now call punishment. So there's a limit to how they can navigate those things. They need more tools, more knowledge, more wisdom to be able to mold students and also at the same time impart knowledge into them. But yes, irrespective of that, teachers really, really do deserve to be appreciated, because people say it's a thankless job, but I believe it's a job that they can't get their thanks for. Back in the day, they used to say that it's just reward is in heaven, but I think we should focus on getting it, getting it across to them.
They need to have that reward right here.
That's very important.
Because in the first place, nobody even knows if this person is going to heaven or not.
I mean,
so you keep the person's reward in heaven and he's not going to heaven.
Misses out on that.
And he misses out. What happens? But basically, let's come to, you know, our realities here. The place of a teacher cannot be overemphasized because of the pivotal roles they play in the lives of everyone. But how come that teachers are so insignificant when it comes to the scheme of things, where you're mentioning profession? In fact, children these days, where you are, what do you like to become? Very few are going to say, I'd like to be a teacher.
Yes, like I said before, it's because of the value system and the swift erosion of it, and that's why we have it the way we have it today. Back in the day, we had kids, even in our generation, that also wanted to be teachers because of these same teachers that we talked about earlier. But today, it's about the quick cash, it's about quick money, and I don't believe you see any teacher out there who symbolizes or who is a symbol of wealth or affluence. These days, with the way things are hard economically, you rarely also see a teacher who is even a symbol of comfortable living. So the question is that something for a lot of people to look up to or not? But the question is, are they supposed to look up to what they have materially, or they should look up to what they stand for in terms of values? So that's why we keep talking about the erosion of the value system and how things have been on a steady decline the last couple of decades. But either you want to be a teacher or not, the fact remains that what they're doing is quite pivotal, because you need to understand that the child leaves the home at whatever time. Maybe they get into the classroom by 8 o'clock till 2 o'clock. That's a substantial part of their day. That's where they get influence. That's where they get to learn. That's where they get to have parts of their character molded. That's where they get to have the knowledge imparted into them. So it's of their character molded. That's where they get to have the knowledge imparted into them. So it ends up being played out, aside from the role of families as well, because if all those children go to school, and even after they leave school, they end up in homes. They come from homes and they go back to homes. But within that gap, teachers are the ones that are holding forth to ensure that whatever it is that are teaching them from home and whatever they have to return to, they are adding value to it. So that is something that is very critical, and that is something that we need to understand, identify, and also appreciate.
All right. Now, we see in some instances where you know, scholarships and different fellowships for teachers exist here and there. And we also seen some awards where, you know, Teacher of the Year award in some of the states. For instance, in Lagos, we see sometimes there's a vehicle passing, and then, you know, beside the vehicle is written, you know, Teacher something award, and so on. How is that adding up to how we should treat or recognize or appreciate teachers?
Oh, well, it's a step in the right direction, but I would also like to say, especially to our viewers, that appreciation of teachers should start from the families. Every single thing starts from the families, okay? The value system starts from the families. When we were growing up, I mean, we had our parents appreciate our teachers. I don't even think maybe we even had this teachers appreciation day then. Maybe at the end of a session or at the beginning of a term, our parents always found a way to appreciate our teachers, not to induce them in any way. Because if you think back, you find out that the children who had their parents appreciate the teachers more got dealt with a lot more than the other students who their parents didn't, because I believe the thinking was that, oh, your parents are nice to me, I should make sure that you turn out right, I should make sure that you understand this thing, so they paid extra attention to you, and then for some reason maybe you got extra beatings and all of that. Yeah, so
but it was always a way of putting you in the right
direction. So yes, it starts from the homes, because I'll be mentioning all the stakeholders. It starts from the homes. We need to appreciate the teachers. I know things are hard for a lot of people economically, especially in Nigeria. But yes, there are ways that, because in the end, it's the thought that counts, okay? If it's something a little here, something a little there, from maybe 50% of the students in their class, it all adds up to something, okay? So let's not look at it and say, oh, I think this is too small, oh, I think this is not significant enough. It's the thought that counts, because if you do the little you can do, you bring a drop, somebody else brings a drop, before you know it, a glass cup is full. Before you know it, a well is full. So it is important that we learn to appreciate teachers from the families, especially also looking at the administrators. Now, talking about the private schools and the public schools, it is important that we look at teachers' remunerations. You hear what teachers earn today, it is abysmal, especially for private schools. Whatever you charge, either you charge at the high end or at the low end or the mid-range, it is abysmal. It needs to be looked into. We have a system today, because we also need to understand that to be able to impart knowledge or influence someone positively, as a human being, you need to be in the right frame of mind. So understand that whatever we're paying you for our children, but the person that is the main conduit for that knowledge, if they are not in the right frame of mind, they don't know where their next meal is going to come from. Even though they're salary earners, how do you expect them to carry out that job effectively? Because mind you, if they do not carry out that job effectively, it will reflect in the child that was taken to school. And it is you, the administrator, that the school will hold accountable, because you're the one who paid to anyway. So what happens when parents start to withdraw their children from school? So understanding that it is an entire cycle, and that value chain, the teacher themselves as a key element in that particular cog, in that particular wheel, they're very pivotal into the success of your business. Bring it to the public sector. Can we see how we can adjust the pay for teachers in public schools? Sometimes you have a teacher to 100 students. How is that even possible? How does that make sense? Most times, a lot of them use their personal resources. A lot of them use their personal resources to see how they can make life better for the children, to see how they can impart knowledge. Can we encourage them? Can we put some things together, not just saying, okay, one car for maybe 1,000 teachers in a particular state. Yes, that's also admirable, because it's something for a lot of people to work towards. But bringing it down to lower levels, to something small, something that you may think may be insignificant, because it is important that these people are appreciated. Now, taking it back to the federal government and ASUU, because we just have to go there. Really,
of course.
We have to go there.
That was going to certainly come up.
Yes.
And you could see that the arguments, the issues on the table, that they have always been on either side of, they keep recurring and they keep becoming the issues up until now.
Yes.
And one would say, why is it so difficult or so challenging when, okay, you profess or you claim as government that what the perspective you're coming from is progressive. The ASUU, on the other hand, also came up with their own items and also claim. So if you are making progress, and I'm supposed to make progress, why can't we marry the issues that we have and move on?
Because
we're still talking about the same
thing for the last couple of years, which is something that I've always asked, either on here or somewhere else, that why is it so difficult for the federal government to at least see where they can meet ASUU midway. Now they've been on strike for more than a month. I don't know when this is going to end. Right now, the focus isn't even on administration at so many levels. It's about politicking. So don't be surprised if this whole ASUU thing drags out till December or into early next year, 2023, when they then call them back to the table as some form of campaign strategy that, okay, you know what, we're listening to ASUU. You can go back to school so you can see us in a certain light. But I think that it does go to show what our priorities really are in this country. If we do not understand that having so many young people out of school at this time is, in a way, not just embarrassing, but in itself, it poses a few dangers. Because you have a lot of young people who today are idle.
Idle.
I have, like every other week, somebody buzz me up to say that, okay, you know what, what do you think I can do before ASUU? And then you lay out strategies, and then you hear that, oh, okay, maybe they had one meeting federal government, and then, oh, maybe they'll go back to school, they're not going back to school. Because even for planning, it's a problem. So they're going to be home for 6 months, let them know that, okay, this course I want to take for 3 months, this is when I'm going to start.
Exactly.
I can complete it. This skill I want to learn.
Within the time frame.
Because, mind you, all of those skills are going to very likely be paid for. So it doesn't make sense that 2 weeks into an 8-week program, you say, okay, they should go back to school, and then they forfeit the entire money, the money that they don't even have, the money that most of the time they have to borrow. So in terms of planning and people being able to structure their lives together, it is very disruptive. But all in all, I think that it is something that, if not for anything, if it's just to acknowledge what today stands for, I think that the federal government should see what they can do about this issue with ASUU, because it has dragged on and gone on for too long. Because in terms of priorities, I see no reason why we cannot acknowledge that education is something that we desperately need to get right in this country. At the lower levels, we have over 5 million out-of-school children. Now, at the higher levels, now we have so many millions out of school right now. How do we build a society? How do we build an economy off the backs of that? It's really just not sustainable. So if we're talking about, oh, the out-of-school children at the lower levels, and then we're saying out of school, then who is really in school?
Exactly. Who is really in school?
Who is really in school? And sometime some international organization will come up with some maybe literacy index that would likely rank Nigeria low, and then you come out to quickly say that, okay, you know what, it's not true, that's not the case, but the reality on ground says otherwise. But can we get serious and put people back in schools at every level? Because that's the only sustainable way to build any sensible society.
Yeah.
Federal government and ASUU, please see how you can resolve this issue. Over time, over the last couple of years, you've made promises to ASUU. We'll get this done. They'd compromise. They say, okay, no problem, we'll go back to the classrooms. They come up again. They say, okay, we want to strike. They have warning strikes. They have actual strikes. You come to the table. You say, this is what you want. Also understanding that it's not like they're actually moving the goalpost, but because what you're supposed to pay them, let's say maybe last year, October, cannot be the same thing you're expected to pay them in April because it keeps accruing. So can we actually address this like it's a business decision and be deliberate about it? If you need to pay them half of it, let them know you're going to pay them half of it. Yeah. If it's going to take 90 days, we've had this exact conversation right here the last 2 years. If it's going to take 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, let them know.
Yeah.
Stick to your word.
In fact, the government had started it under former President Goodluck Jonathan.
Yes.
Where they paid a few billions to what was agreed, part of what was agreed. You know, I think they paid about 2 tranches of the amount of money to ASUU.
Yes.
But after that, nobody heard anything again. And this is an agreement you signed in 2009. And the point there is that government is a continuum. So the concept of
nobody's concerned
the concept of it wasn't my administration
not.
doesn't count. The point there is you go there because you're going to inherit all the assets of government, all the liabilities. So you pack everything
together. So you don't get to pick and choose and say that okay, this wasn't what we signed.
Exactly.
It's not our responsibility.
So the point there is one expects that when you inherit something like that and you look at it and you feel okay, I think I can pick some loopholes. I can pick some holes in this agreement. ASUU, come.
Let's have the conversation.
Let's have the conversation. this was signed. I know it's binding, but can we amend? Can we amend this?
Can we amend
so,
this?
so that it fits into the realities of? And the reason why I'm saying this is the reason why I'm saying, so everybody
It's not difficult. You can have a conversation, because in the end, people that make up the conversations with ASUU and federal government are adults. So why is it difficult
not just
for adults,
professors, doctors, scholars,
professionals?
experts.
But fundamentally, they are adults. So why are adults finding it very difficult to have this kind of strategic and progressive
Frank
conversations?
yeah.
That, okay, you know what? As at the time this thing was signed, this was what the revenue was. Right now, that's not reflecting our actual reality. But can we see how we can break it down into pieces? Okay, you're asking for 5. Can we negotiate to 4 or maybe 3? So I say, oh, no, 1.5, 1.4. Okay, whatever it is that we agree to, can we agree to a payment plan? Out of that, we pay X percentage over X couple of months.
Exactly.
That is not unreasonable.
Yeah.
But are they having these conversations? Because you just look at it and say, okay, this is what you're doing. Okay, we don't think we can afford this amount, and then you walk out of the room. But then you say, okay, they're not serious. You start threatening them. Is that how things are done?
No, you remember no work, no pay?
Yes, no work, no pay, and they're talking about that. But so, like I said before, it does point to where our priorities lie as a people, where we have little to no regard for education. And we keep talking about certain ills in the society. We keep talking about insecurity. These are the places where it comes from. Because let's leave, right now we're not talking about the failures of the family system, but we're also talking about the educational system, which at the highest levels, it is mostly imparted by the government. What are they doing about it? Do they have a sense of responsibility towards seeing that people go to school for a 4-year course and leave in 4 years, or are they really unbothered? As your 4 years can turn to 7 years, and then they come out, employers of labor say you cannot pass a certain age, because they also have businesses to run, and there are actual reasons for saying you cannot be more than a certain age before we can bring you in at entry level. It's not malicious. It's not being malicious. It's not trying to maybe compete with maybe your counterparts in foreign countries.
Yeah.
It's actually well grounded in sound business principles. But do we work with those realities, and do we understand that you are actually joking with the futures and lives of individuals that have actual families? So I think that, especially with the issue of the federal government and ASUU, something really, really needs to be done very urgently. We just got into the month of May.
All right.
Something needs to be done.
All right. Now, as we wind down now, is a whole week of one is supposed to show appreciation. But how best can one actually show appreciation to teachers who have been part of shaping the lives that in fact, all that we are today is a product of one teacher somewhere, either at the conventional, learning process,
Yes.
where it's primary, secondary school, university, polytechnic, whatever, or the not conventional, where you're going for special courses here and there, and
Yes,
there are
or to learn a
instructors.
skill.
Exactly, to learn a skill and all of that. So how best can we appreciate these people?
Something as, I'll say little, as maybe reaching out to them via a phone call.
Okay.
If you can reach them via a phone call. And permit me to do this. I have a particular teacher I've been looking for in the last decade. Am I allowed to call his name? Because I've called teachers from my former secondary school to see how they can reach him. They haven't been able to. Can I call his name to see if maybe he can reach your studios? Because I've been trying to reach him, because he's one of those people that's really made a significant
Please
impact.
go ahead. You have a teacher.
my life.
You have a teacher like that. Of course. Why not?
Thank you so very much. Mr. Shegun Oridami. I have been looking for him for last couple of years, up until last year.
Wow.
I had to look out for past teachers from my secondary school, Excel College in Ejigbo, Lagos. It's been a challenge identifying him, locating him. I actually tried to look for where he lived. We couldn't get it. But it's someone that has been on my mind. We have been looking for him for years. Mr. Shegun Oridami, please, if you know anyone that knows him, or if he's watching this, please reach out to the TVC studios. They know how to reach out to me. Thank you so very much.
I guess he's a teacher that has impacted your life and,
Yes,
and many
in
others.
a very significant way. In a very significant
we
way.
have several of them here and there, and like in my secondary school where I attended, the old student association are coming up with a get-together where they're planning to, okay, fine, persons who have been there, you know, and all of that, getting their names together and seeing how they can be appreciated. Anyway, we have